Hi. Sorry I'm late. I had to get up to do my laundry and I didn't get up early enough. I've been thinking maybe I should try streaming in the afternoon so it doesn't matter if I don't get out of bed in time. But, I don't know. I feel like my brain works the best in the morning. Because then by the afternoon, my brain's just sort of dying if I didn't sleep well enough. Anyway, hi. We're playing more Ace Attorney today. Great intro. Oh, by the way, it's raining at the moment. I know I said I just did my laundry, but I hung it up inside. It's raining at the moment, so if the stream starts dying, that's probably because rain kills my internet. It just does that sometimes. Anyway, did I have anything I needed to talk about on stream? I don't think I did. Anyway, we finished case 3 yesterday. We're starting last week. We're starting case 3 today, case 4 today. Maybe my brain doesn't work best in the morning. Because I'm acting very brain dead right now, but that's because, like, when I have one particularly bad night, whether that be getting to bed late or waking up early, it takes me a long time to recover. So I as it stands right now, I'm still very sleepy because on Thursday I woke up at like 4 a.m. And also I had to work after hours on Wednesday and Thursday. Fun times. Fun time back at work after being away for a week. Anyway, let's just get right into the game. I'm already half an hour late. Might as well just get into it. Let me just do this to make sure the audio is in sync. If I don't do that every time I open up OBS, then the audio ends up out of sync, and I don't know why. But, like, just deactivating it and reactivating it fixes it, so... Anyway, continue, I guess. We're starting episode 4, Twisted Karma and His Last Bow. Which is why today's stream is titled Da Sword. Here we go.
Pipe in hand, Sholmes looked down at the thick, rolling fog outside our window. I wonder exactly how many mysteries are out there, hidden within this bed of fog, he said. Indeed, a most bizarre incident, born of a curious advertisement. A hellhound's mad gallop through the shadows of a serial murder, an executed man's graveyard resurrection in the dead of night. And a commonplace killing in a small, forgotten room at the edge of town. There is, naturally, always another side to every case, of which most remain ignorant. And it is that other side which compels me to the scene of the crime, Wilson. So quickly now, take your hat and let's be on our way, my dear fellow. For our adventure is not over yet. Come, the game is afoot.
Okay. If you say so. Doesn't tell me much. It's aside from that this is related to the professor and the Hound of the Baskervilles and whatnot. Anyway, 8 days after that earth-shattering trial and Casimir regaining his memory, we were in the foyer of one of London's most luxurious hotels, the Great Waterloo Hotel. Okay, 1st of November. Oh, right, this is why we're here. Because the Professor Mikatoba and Judge Jigoku are going to be arriving. Professor Mikatoba is due to arrive at any moment. Yes, I'm so glad we got here in time. Susato-san hasn't been the same since what happened. Not that I'm surprised. The truth about Kazuma-sama's father. Do you suppose my father knew? I need to sit closer to my microphone. Also, maybe tilt it down a little. Sorry that I'm fiddling with this. I didn't have much time to set up before the stream. I finished hanging up my laundry, brushed my teeth, and then it was time to stream. That it was actually the mass murderer of the professor, you mean? I knew that's what she was thinking about. There's a good chance, I'd say. I mean, they did come here to London together 16 years ago, didn't they? Yes, that's true. Come to think of it, didn't you say that Professor Mikotoba knew about Kazuma going missing in Hong Kong as well? That's right, but for some reason he wasn't at liberty to talk to me about it. That probably means he knows then. About Kazuma showing up here in London with amnesia, and that he's regained his memory now. Ah, there she is. I assume that's Professor Mikotoba, but I'm not going to jump to assumptions. Also, once I finish this game, I'm gonna have to look up what the pun in Susato's name is, because I don't know what Mikotoba means. Oh no. Oh yeah, that... It is them, they're just dressed very differently. Meanwhile, Ryunosuke and Susato didn't bother to change clothes at all, in order to blend in better in London. Oh, father! Hello, Susato. How are you? I'm very well, thank you. We're delighted you've arrived safe and sound. The judge's buttons on his coat are fucking attorney's badges. Or modern day attorney's badges. Hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo. Very kind of you to take the trouble to meet us here. Oh no, not at all. It's my pleasure. We've heard all about your extraordinary exploits here in London, you know. The news has crossed the seas. It has? I always look forward to reading the monthly reports that arrive with the steamships from Britain. Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much. Who is this man? Why do I feel as though I've seen him before? I take it from your expression that you can't quite place me. In that case, how about a little reminder, Seishiro? A firm tap should do it. Yes. A firm tap? What? Here we go, then. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, guilty. Oh, you're... He's one of the few judges that gets an actual name. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Your Excellency! Hello, Judge Shigoku. How are you? It's been a long time. Good, you've remembered now. That really did the trick. Guilty. Ha 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 ha. Oh, and I was declared not guilty, wasn't I? And there was no laughing at the time. So, London again after all this time. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. To be honest, I never thought I'd be back. Neither did I. I didn't imagine Japan would ever be invited to an international symposium like this. I'm having trouble differentiating their voices because I can't... I've somehow decided that characters from Japan speak with an Australian accent, so I can only differentiate their voices by how deep I go. Though I really doubt anyone did, to be honest. It's all thanks to you, isn't it, Seishiro? What are you talking about, Yujin? Ha 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 ha! Of course, Judge Shigoku. He must complete the set. He's the other man who 16 years ago came to London with Kazuma's father and Professor Mikotoba. He's the third visiting scholar. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say, I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? I knew you were jealous. Ha 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 ha. Sorry? Ministerial status? Yes, didn't you know? Seishiro here is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. It was his personal insistence that allowed you to take Kazuma's place here on this study tour. Guilty as charged. Ha 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 ha. Oh, well, thank you very much. He's really every bit as important as he looks. Ah yes, now, Naruhodo. I received a telegram from Lord Strongheart yesterday. Oh, you did? It appears that some things came to light in a trial you were involved with 8 days ago. About what happened 10 years ago. That tragedy. Yes, could you tell us any more about it? Okay, we're able to converse. Let me see if my tea is cool enough to drink yet. I had to make it right before stream. Still a little too hot. Let's chat. So, how was the voyage here? Well, 50 days at sea is a long time by anyone's standards. But it wasn't as bad as when we first came 16 years ago. No, that's true. Well, then I truly wondered if we wouldn't be drifting in the vast ocean for the rest of our lives. This time we followed the same route as you, so we were able to relax and enjoy the experience. Ah, so you stopped in France's beautiful capital, Paris? We did, yes, though only for one night. And yesterday evening we left the port of Dunkirk for Dover. Just in time for the symposium, in fact. It starts tomorrow. It's wonderful that you were invited to attend such an important international event. I'm very proud of you, Father. It's thanks to Seishiro here. 16 years ago, he managed to ingratiate himself with Britain's Attorney General. I'm sure that's why he was invited, and I suppose you could say I'm something of an appendage by default. Speak for yourself, Eugen. You were close friends with the professor of forensic science at a major hospital. Yes, well, I'd rather not dredge all that up, really. No, there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, but it doesn't bring him back. Kazuma's father, I suppose. The professor, the killer who took the lives of 5 members of the British aristocracy, was actually Kazuma's father, wasn't he? That's correct. Genshin Asogi. I hate that my first thought upon reading that was Genshin Impact. Genshin. You knew, I presume, Father? Yes, he was a close friend at the time. Genshin came to Britain as a police detective. He was studying to investigate techniques at Scotland Yard. I never understood what drove the man to commit such heinous acts. It was a closed trial, so the public never knew the truth, and he was executed with little ado. To this day, very few people know what really happened, even in our homeland. But what about Kazuma? Did he know? Did he know the truth about his father? No, of course not. He was told his father passed from sickness. However, I suspect he may have had his doubts. Oh, why? As you know, I tried to guide Kazuma growing up as if he were my own son. Then one day he came to my office at the university and said, "I've decided. I want to travel to Great Britain and study there." Do you think he wanted to come here to investigate his father's death? I don't know. But when I looked into his eyes, I did know that there was no way I'd be able to stop him. Something else came to light in the trial the other day, actually. Oh, what? Well, having disappeared in Hong Kong and been missing for almost a year, Kazuma's since turned up here in London, working as an apprentice of Lord Van Zeek's. What? What? That's news to us. So they didn't know. Okay. So, Lord Strongart's telegram neglected to mention that part then. Well then. As you know, we both thought Kazuma had died on the steamship during our voyage to Great Britain in January. But he didn't die, he's alive. As you knew, didn't you, Father? Actually, in fact, no. What I did know is that when your ship docked in Hong Kong, he mysteriously vanished. We sent a team of investigators to Hong Kong to try and ascertain what happened, but to no avail. But he's still alive? And here in London, you say? I never dared to even dream it. Why on earth did the young man not make contact? The government and the police have been chasing clues fruitlessly for months now. Well, it seems that he was suffering from amnesia. What? Amnesia? When we first came across him again here in London, he didn't know who either of us were. The judge's voice is not good for my throat. I see. He only regained his memory 8 days ago. This is unbelievable. Yes, it's quite miraculous. I wonder why Lord Strongard didn't let us know. I must speak with him urgently. I wonder how Kazuma's been these past few days. Would it be wrong of us to go and visit him? Well, I guess we're not going to find that out, but we're going to have to talk first. That began 16 years ago now. It's a distant memory, really. It was Yujin here, Genshin Asogi, and myself. We were the original three. The first judicial scholars from Japan to travel overseas to study. Ocean voyages were not what they are today, I can tell you. 16 years ago, things were tough for their generation. Your father was an exceptionally fine medical student at Yuhei University at the time. You know, young lady. Yes, grandmother told me. He went to do research at a great London hospital to study autopsy, practically unheard of in Japan. Yes, it was an eerie place, sandwiched between the back of a prison and a burial ground. Ah, not more talk of graves. Very often, there's no one willing to deal with bodies following autopsy work. So you see, autopsy labs have something of an unavoidable relationship with graveyards and prisons. Not my cup of tea at all. Do you remember that Scottish prison governor? Caden was his name. He was a good man. I get the feeling he's going to come up in this case, or maybe the next one. Yes, but then of course, in our 6th year here, everything changed with that dreadful case. When Genshin was arrested for a series of the most gruesome murders. I simply couldn't believe it. I'd known the man for years. I was a witness at the secret hearing, and I tried to speak in his defense, but you went a little too far and ended up facing charges yourself, didn't you? Well, suffice to say that after that trial, we were sent back to Japan. There was nothing more we could do to save Genshin. He was a lost cause, sadly. Sag. Well, if you'll excuse us now. Yes, I'd like to get this trunk up to my room as soon as possible. Oh, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have held you up here for so long. I'll call for the porter then. Just wait here. Susato-san's gone off at a run. I'd like to stay here and talk more, but I do have various preparations to make for tomorrow. Yes, of course. It must be a big responsibility representing our entire country. I wish you the best of luck. Naruhodo. I hope you'll keep an eye on Susato for me. Keep looking after her, as you obviously have been. Oh, no, I mean, if anyone's looking after anyone, it's her looking after me. Well, I do appreciate you being there for her, after all. I've been a miserable father to her. I've thoroughly let her down. Sorry? What do you mean? He's been hiding things from her for all this time. And also, right as she was born, he jetted off to Britain. Well, it was 16 years ago I started my long study tour here in Britain, as you know. The very year Susato was born. Yes, I heard. The birth of my daughter was the most joyous event of my life, but... well, sadly it was accompanied by the most tragic event of my life, too. Oh yes, Susato-san hinted at something like that. It was a rather turbulent time at home. Anyway, I won't bore you with the details. The point is, I became rather less dependable than befits a grown man. And it was then that Seishiro offered me the opportunity to study here in Great Britain. I was too worried about you to leave you behind. So perhaps I was a little heavy-handed when it came to persuading you to accompany me to London. So that's what happened in a nutshell. And that's also the reason why I now feel compelled to give my daughter as many opportunities as I dare. Though the world does not readily afford young women such things, I must say. I completely understand, Professor. Ah, one other thing, Naruhodo. If I may be so bold, I have a favor to ask you. Oh, really? Of course. What can I do for you? Well, the thing is, I feel like I've seen that guy before. Was he one of the jurors? Maybe? I'm sorry that took so long. Mr. Sato? Now then, allow us to take your bags. Allow me to take your bags. Oh. One moment, if you please, Porter. Ah, of course, sir. That machine around your neck. It's a camera, I believe. Quite right, sir. Just 5 shillings for a lovely photograph to commemorate a wonderful stay in the hotel, sir. Well, I think given the occasion, we could justify the expense. Ah, yes, of course. Ryunosuke's so nervous. I'd like to thank you for coming with me, Mr. Naruhodo. It really made Father very happy, I think. Oh, well, I'm pleased then. But we were interrupted before. Professor Mikotoba was about to ask me something. Shall we return to Baker Street, then? I expect Iris will have some delicious tea waiting for us. Yes, let's go. I'm getting more and more anxious about Kazuma, though. Perhaps I'll try to meet with Lord Strongheart later and ask after him. We could have a look around, but I think I'm just going to move. What a grand place. I know I'm missing out on all sorts of flavor text and whatnot, but I'm pushing my voice as it is. I don't want to read all that out as well. Back to Shams is sweet. What the fuck is this? Why are there accent markers on this screaming? What was that? Good question, Mr. Naruhodo. A man screaming in a most unflattering way. Do you think... Could it have been Mr. Sholmes? Oh my, I do hope not. I don't do it anymore. I'm assuming by the at the end, I don't I'm guessing this is supposed to be Italian, which is just fantastic. More fucking accents. I thought we were done with that. Wait, but is Mon Ami... Mon Ami's French, isn't it? Mon Ami is French. Do French people do the thing as well? I thought that was an Italian thing. Oh my lord. Accents. Mon ami, mon ami. Stop this disgraceful display, huh? So I guess, like... Oh, no, she did still use French words here and there. But, like, this guy's, I guess, supposed to have an even stronger accent than Madame Tussauds had, considering they outright spell it as this instead of this. Who are these people? Look at their hair, it's bright red. I think they must be clients of Mr. Sholmes. Right, you two, you're coming with me now, down to the clink. No! No! Not in prison! It is dark and damp and I don't like it! Morph the darkness, it is my friend. I am not scared. But you are always scared of the dark. Shut your mouth, you idiot. I will sit quietly in the dark and plan our next daring heist. I don't like this. I don't like it. Well, tough. We'll finish this down in the yard. Now get moving. Bye then, Ginny. Have fun. Oh yeah, thanks, Iris. And thanks, you great detective. Well then. Gina makes a fine detective herself, doesn't she? Oh, Susie and Bruno. Hello, Iris. We're home. I have finished my drink, my tea. Well, did you find your daddy? Yes, we arrived at the hotel just before he and his friend. Oh, well that's great news. I hope I'll get to see my daddy again soon. Have we still not told her that her dad is dead? Ah, yes, of course. Dr. John H. Wilson. So, Iris, all that remains now is the greatest of problems known to man. Before we concern ourselves with that, I believe some tea is in order, don't you, my dear fellows? What the fuck? There's something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Naruhodo? Do I have a crumb or such like on my face? Not so much your face, as on your head, I'd say. Come along then, everyone. I've brewed a lovely special blend. Time for tea. Whatever is going on here today? In that case, let us sit and drink now. For I am, in fact, expecting a guest later today. What the fuck is going on? Mr. Sholmes, who were the two gentlemen that were here before? Oh, just a pair of petty criminals. Nothing of significance. Of course, they have to make a living somehow. And when the mood makes me, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to all manner of infractions. When the mood takes you? All manner of infractions? But when such fellows set their sights on Mr. Herlock Sholmes, well, that's when their luck runs out. Oh my, you were the target of a crime, Mr. Sholmes? Oh, is the Splatfest today? When is the final Splatfest happening, actually? I might need a boot up Splatoon just for that. It's been ages since I've played Splatoon. I didn't even play the DLC. But when Nintendo announced new Splatoon amiibo, I'm like, yep, I'm buying that. But I quickly devised a plan to entrap them and deliver them to our young detective ally. You should have asked Grexy to come too. We could have had an arresting tea party. I did send word, but no answer was forthcoming. The man is consummately in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a word for it, I'm sure. Ah, I have it! A bungler! That's the word. It's a good job he's not here to hear you say that. So those redheads have been up to no good? I wonder what the men did. Well, they did mention a heist, so clearly they are burglars, and it's not just a matter of, like, mistaken identity or anything. What was that about the greatest of problems known to man that you mentioned before? Is it another fiendishly intricate case, Mr. Sholmes? How should I best explain it? Are you aware of the theory of evolution by natural selection, perchance? Well, I think I've heard talk of it somewhere, possibly. It's a revolutionary scientific theory that was newly proposed 40 years ago now. According to its author, Mr. Darwin, we humans were once apes who lived in the treetops. I don't know if that was how it was proposed back then, but nowadays we're like, no, we had a common ancestor. Wait, what? We were apes? Indeed, and from the very moment those apes descended from the canopy to live as humans, it has been our lot to be at the mercy of the greatest problem known to man. Our lot? What is this great problem, Mr. Sholmes? Why is it not obvious, my dear madame? The problem of rent! No, that isn't a problem with humanity. That's a problem with capitalism. But did you not receive a rather large sum of money from Madame Tispels only the other day? Sure, the large sum. One potted for Iris, one, and a new motor car for me later. And all of it has quite disappeared, I assure you. Honestly, Hurley, you know you squandered it. Yes, well, anyway, 2 days ago, I discovered the answer to man's greatest problem. For the coming month, at least. And what was the answer? Why, there is a substantial clue before your very eyes. Don't tell me. Let me see. Is he like selling hair dye or something? Humans are sorry creatures, unable to see what is in front of their noses. Let me give you some assistance. Don't look, but observe me very closely. There is one particular feature about my person that has changed. You should notice it in the end, I think. in the end? It's been stabbing me in both eyes, right? From the very beginning of our conversation. I think we might need another clue before we uncover the full answer, Mr. Naruhodo. Thanks for the hint. I'll be tearing my hair out if this charade goes on much longer. Mr. Sholmes, isn't it about time you told us the truth? Just over a week ago, you said to us, I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. That case aboard the SS Buria in January, Cosmo wasn't killed, and you knew he wasn't dead at the time. So what was really going on? The fellow was unconscious for a very long time. If he hadn't regained consciousness when he did, his life would have been in mortal peril. Of course, a side effect of the prolonged comatose state was amnesia, as you now know. It was a simple enough task to silence the crew. But how? After they'd carried him out of the cabin, I assembled them in the lobby area. I made them swear to leave him unconscious and have him unlaid from the ship in Hong Kong as a murdered corpse. Oh, how horrible. It was necessary to find some material with which to persuade the crewmen to keep their word, of course. But why? Why do it in the first place? I will be at liberty to elaborate in due course. But for the time being, I would like to reassure you. I didn't foresee subsequent events. What events? His disappearance in Hong Kong. Oh, I mean, I believe I may have made a gross error of judgment. Mr. Sholmes. I thought he was going to continue on. Do I have something I can... No? Okay. I guess I need to... Oh? What is this doing here? Oh, I guess they brought it back with them. The masked Cosmo wore when he was assigned to Lord Van Zeeks as his apprentice. When he cast it aside after the trial the other day, I just sort of picked it up. You ought to give it back to him, I suppose. But he has his memory back now, doesn't he? And I can't help feeling he might turn around and tell me coldly to wear it myself. But isn't he your best friend? What is it? There's bullet holes on the wall making what looks like letters, but it's not letters from Sholmes' name, so I don't know. Like VR or NR? Or maybe NK? I finally managed to remember this behemoth's name, the Great Analytoscope. I don't think it was here when I left for Japan, was it? Was it? I don't know. I haven't analyzed this place all that much. I'm only doing it now because Sholmes won't tell us what the hell's going on with his hair. Oh, is that right? Yes, because it was with the... Oh, yeah. Because it was with the pawnbroker. Ah, of course. Oh, that's given me a wonderful idea. I could pawn everything that's on your desk. The office would be tiny at last. Don't even joke about it, Mr. Sato. You are joking, aren't you? I can't even Can't even investigate it, okay. I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at right now. And look, this looks like last week's edition. What's that article circled in red ink there? It's an advertisement column. It says, "To the Red-Headed League." The Red-Headed League? What's that? I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but... Is something on my face? Clearly this has something to do with that. Lively hair. Well, guess we found what we needed. It looks as though someone circled an advertisement in the paper, Mr. Sholmes. To the Red-Headed League? Does that strike you in some way? I was thinking that just maybe it might be related to your bright red hair. So, at last you've learned to apply my methods, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? In the first instance, and quite indispensable, observation. Believe me, I could have seen that hair with my eyes shut. So then, allow me to regale you with the details of my latest exploits. Regale or boast? Did he, like, dye his hair red to infiltrate the Red-Headed League and get them arrested or something? Because both the criminals he just arrested were redheads. So what is the Red-Headed League, which seems to be the subject of the advertisement you've circled? You noticed it in the paper, then? That, my dear fellow, was going to be the source of this month's rent payment. It was? How? According to the advertisement, the Red-Headed League is a distinguished institution of fellows of unspecified governance. In fact, the only condition for becoming a member is having red hair. That doesn't entirely surprise me. But listen to what the lucky redheads receive once they join. An unconditional salary of £4 a week. Oh my, £4 a week? But why? What are they paying people for? That I don't know. No details are given in the advertisement. But surely every red-headed person in the country would be flocking to join in that case. You're right, Susie. There's no time to lose. I'll put in my application at once. So will I, just on the off chance. That might be stretching a point, I think. The trouble is, they have a fixed number of members, you see. Oh, I see. So once a certain number of people have joined, no one else can. But as luck would have it, one member recently passed away. Wasn't particularly lucky for the red-head in question, I feel, Mr. Sholmes. So you decided to try and join in his place? Correct. I mean, look at me. Have you ever seen such a red-headed fellow? No. So why did it have to go so wrong? What on earth happened? A blunder, Mr. Naruhodo. It pains me to admit it. Oh. Replace that one instead, okay. What did you actually do to your hair, Mr. Sholmes? I'm glad you asked, Mr. Sato. What you see atop my head is neither dyed nor a hairpiece. What? I changed the color of my hair overnight. By the wonders of chemistry. Chemistry? I was conducting some research into a method of rejuvenating spent tea leaves. And in the course of my work, I stumbled upon a potion that, when taken, turns one's hair a flame-like red. This is not how science works. Would you like to try it? It will make every hair on your body perfectly crimson. I think I'll pass. But Mr. Sholmes, is it quite safe to drink? Surely it's bad for you, isn't it? Amateurs are always hampered by such fears. Oh, I never should have doubted you, Mr. Sholmes. You mean to say... But of course! To earn £4 a week, one must be prepared to turn a blind eye to a little danger. That degree of red signals more than just a little danger, surely. So anyway, Hurley left full of confidence yesterday with his new red hair. For the park on Lime Street, where the Red-Headed League were interviewing prospective new members. So what went wrong? The whole park was choked with red-headed folks, like a Costa's orange barrow. I queued for 8 hours solid before at last I reached the front. But when the panel of interviewers saw me, they immediately said, "Ah, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, are you in disguise to conduct an investigation?" So naturally, I had no choice but to reply, "Shh, don't give me away." After which I could do little else but turn and leave. Then this morning, when I looked into the mirror, irritation stirred within me. So I turned that pair into the police. Oh dear, what a disaster. For Hurley and those two redheads. So what did the two do? Mr. Sholmes, you mentioned before that you were expecting a guest today? Indeed, Mr. Sato. That is correct. Not another of those red-headed gentlemen that were here before. Not at all. They were petty villains. The guest I am expecting is a client. Oh? A young gentlewoman who wishes to appoint the services of this great detective, no less. Oh, how wonderful, Mr. Sholmes. He's finally going to get paid for doing his job. You must stay and observe the fashion in which a great detective receives his customers. Must we? I have you in my clutches now, Rent, just as I have you in my clutches, redheads. Etc. That hearty laugh is masking rather sinister thoughts, I feel. You know, the lady isn't due for another hour yet. I don't feel as though you must wait around if you have other things to do. Alright, well, off we go then. Let's check in with, Lord Strongart, shall we? Oh, hello. Well, this is a fine how do you do. Here's the final draft of the opening address for tomorrow's proceedings. I supplemented your original with the figures you asked for from the yard. I see. Excellent work, thank you. You're welcome, my lord. I've realized their voices are too similar, but we've just never seen them in the same place before, so I've never had to notice that. What's Lord Van Zeek's doing here? My, there seems to be an awful lot of tension in the air, wouldn't you say? This place is stifling enough as it is. We really don't need any more tension. Well, we've gotten attention. My apologies, I didn't notice you come in. Your small stature and dark dress make you all but invisible to me. Oh, no, it's entirely my fault for wearing black, I'm sure. From now on, I must dress in white from head to toe whenever you must dress in white from head to toe whenever you come here. Now then, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. I'm right here. Oh, kill me now. Is something wrong? Perhaps it's a little too hot in here for you. Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I've never experienced a room at such a perfect temperature. If you're sure, the beads of sweat carving their way down your face seem to suggest otherwise. Because the daggers you're staring at me with, mainly. As you're no doubt aware, my International Forensic Science Symposium begins tomorrow. In fact, your father arrived in London earlier today, I hear, madame. Oh, yes, that's right, my lord. He's extremely honored to have been invited. I'll leave the remaining preparations for the meeting in your capable hands then, Lord Van Zeeks. I will attend at once. Staring at me. He gave you a very cold stare as he left, didn't he? I know, but I haven't done anything, have I? These past few days, my feet have barely touched the ground, I must say. My dedicated right hand of many years was recently put out of action in spectacular fashion. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is your left hand still so? Ryunosuke, that's not what he means. Oh no. Mr. Naruhodo, he's talking about Dr. Seath. I recently learned, I looked up what the pun in her name was. It's because her Japanese name, Shisu, I believe, is like based on the word for like die or death. So it is supposed to be Dr. Seath and not Dr. Scythe. I just figured it would be Scythe as like since we're talking about death and whatnot, if it were in English, Scythe would make sense because it's like the Grim Reaper, but apparently it's supposed to be Seath because apparently she's like one of two characters who isn't named after a Sherlock Holmes character who had their names stay the same between the Japanese and English versions. The other character being Lord Van Zeeks. And also, speaking of Sherlock Holmes characters, Enoch Drebber's name isn't a pun, it's a Sherlock Holmes reference. So, you know, that's great. Of course. I'm terribly sorry about that. I was just, Fear not, you've done nothing wrong. Dr. Seath's own wrongdoing precipitated the situation. You needn't concern yourself with it any further. That would be a lot easier to do if it weren't for the piercing stare you're giving me. Lord Van Zeeks is doing an admirable job of holding the fort. Though, disturbingly, his apprentice has been missing since yesterday. Oh. Missing? What's become of Kazuma-sama now? So he doesn't know. That's interesting. Not long ago, visitor numbers to the great exhibition exceeded 30 million. 30 million? There are even that many people in the world. As a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, the population of the imperial capital, Tokyo, is 2 million. I will be opening the International Forensic Science Symposium in the exhibition's main auditorium. This event has been 2 years in the making. 2 years of preparations and negotiations with other countries. Sounds like a tremendous achievement. Congratulations. The 20th century will see the wholesale adoption of forensic investigation techniques. And cooperation between policing organizations around the globe will be essential. Which is why this landmark first symposium had to be hosted here at the heart of our great British Empire. In order that Scotland Yard can become the leading investigation organization in the New World. He's the same as ever, I see. That passion of his is quite something. You're every bit as passionate in your own way, I'm sure, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm the only person in this world who truly cares about a future that embraces forensic science. It was my intention to become Her Majesty's Attorney General and reform the Yard from the ground up. So the disgrace of the forensic investigation team has been a bitter blow to my ambitions. Guess we'll continue on this line of logic for now. I first established the forensic investigation team a year ago, experimentally to start with. With Dr. Seath at the helm, it was steadily accruing an impressive record of achievement. I was on the verge of changing its name and elevating its status to a full-blown forensic investigation department. And can you not do that now? Obviously. Nobody wants to hear anything about it at the moment. Even I can't keep this story out of the papers. 6 million Londoners will be cursing forensic science now. This incident will set back our country's advancement in the field by a good 10 years, I'd say. Unintended repercussions of our trial. We simply couldn't have overlooked what happened, though. Of course not. We should all be grateful to you both. Anyway, I'll still reform this country's policing when I become Attorney General. This might delay my plans, but it won't alter them. Nothing will stand in my way. Now, about Cosmo. About Lord Van Zeek's apprentice. Ah yes, that came as a surprise to me, I must say, that you and he are old friends. How did he become an apprentice to Lord Van Zeek's in the first place? It came about 3 months ago. An unidentified Asian man was apprehended by border police. They found him hiding aboard a large goods vessel. So he came of his own accord then? He wasn't brought here, he came here. Interesting. Oh my! So he stowed away to get here? He had no papers to identify him, no passport, and he was suffering from amnesia too. Other than the fact he was clearly of Eastern descent, there were no clues as to who he was. So I decided to assign him to Lord Van Zeek's. That way I could keep an eye on him. But then, why the mask? Oh, I didn't want to burden Lord Van Zeek's with tiresome explanations about why he had an Eastern apprentice. Right, because he doesn't like the Nipponese. Because it would be so much easier to explain why he was wearing a mask. He's proving to be a great help to Lord Van Zeek's. I have high hopes for his future. By the way, do you know where he's gone? No idea, but I believe he's left London for the time being. Oh. I take it you also didn't know? That the man's father was one of our country's most infamous criminals, I mean. Genshin Asogi. What we learned from that trial 8 days ago was a huge shock. Finding out my friend's father was... Ah yes, Genshin Asogi. The professor case 10 years ago caused a great stir here in Britain. There were such awful murders, and unprecedented, using a ferocious dog as a murder weapon. And no one would have believed the culprit was a foreign student invited to study here by the government. Why do I get the feeling he was actually innocent? I feel like maybe the final case is going to be us, delving into this and realizing it was actually, something else. And that's why Kazuma is still here. So the true identity of the killer couldn't be made public then, and can't be made public now. Nobody in your country knows it was him, and neither do the citizens of London. The main motivation was to avoid aggravating relations between our two nations at the time, I understand. Correct, however. It has to be noted that there were some supporters of the professor's apparent cause. What? Supporters of a mass murderer? The majority of the man's victims were a blight on the aristocracy of the day. Somewhat ironically, their deaths actually benefited society as a whole. So a fair few thinkers in London believed, anyway. Right, I see. But it was still murder, wasn't it? It seems very similar, doesn't it? To the idea of the Reaper of the Bailey. All I have is this, so like, he hasn't said like, oh, I need to go now. So I don't know if I should be leaving, but hey, what do you think of this? To the Red-Headed League, on the account of the bequest of the late Ezekiel Hopkins of Lebanon. Lebanon is PA Philadelphia? U.S. State PA. Pennsylvania. Of Lebanon, Pennsylvania, USA, there is now another vacancy open which entitles a member of the League to a salary of £4 a week for purely nominal services. All red-headed men who are sound in body and mind above the age of 21 years are eligible. Apply in person on the morning of the 31st at the large park on Lime Street. Get £4 a week if you are a redhead. A most fantastic money-making opportunity. There's also something about St. Bartholomew's Hospital down there. Ayo, germ theory? Also fucking... Does it say Jon Snow? Physician Jon Snow. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Can I show you this, Lord Strongart? I'm the Lord Chief Justice. I'm not here to offer advice about evidence. Oh. Especially when the evidence in question is so dull. Oh, so that's the real reason. Alright, so I guess we just have a quick look. Doesn't seem like there's anything of interest. So I guess we just leave. I'm used to him like being like, yep, that's all to talk about, time for me to go. But I guess not this time. Shall we? Okay. Thank you, Susato, for confirming that we're just supposed to return home. Ding-a-ling-a-ling! Aha! Here is my guest now. My latest client with money to spend. Oh, I hope it's an exciting case, Hurley. Remember, Iris, we are at present gripped by the greatest problem known to man. I must be willing to accept any case, no matter how unstimulating. Save locating a runaway, of course. Don't spare anyone's feelings, will ya? Oh dear. I'm afraid that Hurley can lack a little tact, especially just before rent is due. Oh hey, it's her! It's the jurist lady. I guess... Maybe I should have noticed she seemed a little too detailed to be a regular jurist. Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Herlock Sholmes! Please, oh please! Please find my husband! He's run away! To upset me? I beg your pardon? Never mind, a personal matter. My apologies. What exactly are you trying to say, Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Naruhodo? I didn't say a word. Come, my dear madame, be seated. Iris, some tea, if you please. Of course. What's the matter, Mr. Sato? Oh, it's just that gentlewoman. I feel sure I've seen her somewhere before, very recently. Yes, now that you come to mention it. As I explained earlier, my name is... Is it Evie or Evie? Hold on. We can do this. Google Translate. How is it pronounced? It's apparently Evie. My name is Evie Vigil. I implore you to take the case, sir. Money is no object. Simply name your figure. Money and wealth are of little consequence to me, madame. Being offered a case to solve is reward enough. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you are the picture of benevolence. I will, of course, make a mental note of your offer, however, for contingent reasons. I trust you will remember your words also. If I might inquire, sir. This gentleman and lady would be? Oh, me? What I am about to tell you, I should like to communicate with the strictest confidence, you understand. Ah, these are my friends. I assure you, you may say before this pair anything which you may say to me. Ah, I see. I can vouch for the gentleman personally, after all. He's hard of hearing. Why did I ever get my hopes up? Okay, Miss Evie Vigil. I'm sure there's a pun there, considering her surname is just straight up an actual word. But I'll probably have to look up exactly what the pun is after the case. Forgive me for asking, Miss Vigil, but have we met somewhere before? Quite recently, perhaps? Oh my! Pshaw, my dear fellow, what is your intention? Clearly you have no ability to differentiate the facial features of the English. If you wish to invite the lady to tea, you must do so in a more gentlemanly fashion. Is it possible that you're the nice young lawyer from the trial I attended last week? Ah! I knew I recognized her. To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hands. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine. I didn't quite recognize her because she's acting so differently now. It must be very difficult for you as a lawyer, being hard of hearing, I mean. Pardon? Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Don't worry if you can't hear. It was frippery really, nothing more. Now look what you've started, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you very much. I believe it would be prudent for you to sit quietly in the corner. Yes. Tell us about your husband, madame. Mr. Vigil, my daily... Daily Vigil? Is that like... Oh, daily and Evie, the day and evening. Is Vigil the name of a newspaper? My Vigil, Mr. Vigil, my daily, is 40 years of age. I have a photograph here. There he is. An entirely unremarkable gentleman, by appearance at least. How long have you been married? It'll be 15 years this year. We have a cordial relationship, and my husband's income is more than adequate so that we live quite comfortably. As it would appear. I need only look at you to know these things. Oh gosh. You're dressed the latest style, your hat is clearly regularly groomed, and your eyes are animated. In short, you have no inkling as to why your husband might have disappeared, correct? That's correct. He's a kind man, with the strongest sense of loyalty, and he rather dotes on me. Which would point to the possibility that he has become embroiled in some incident or another. Oh, this is exactly what I fear must have happened, Mr. Sholmes. I'm quite beside myself. My husband's employment is somewhat unusual, you see. What if he's incurred some miscreant's ill will? What exactly is your husband's line of work? He's a warder at the prison. A guard? That is somewhat unusual. So, your husband is a prison warder? That's right, yes. Well, actually, in fact, he's the chief warder. Indeed? I see. Well, Chief Prison Warder certainly qualifies as something of a specialist occupation.
Yes, it does indeed. My poor husband must prepare those dreadful punishments and see that they're carried out.
Dreadful punishments? Does she mean capital punishments?
And at such times, he must occasionally spend a night or two in the prison dormitory. But for that extra responsibility, he is remunerated more handsomely than the other warders. Of course, we make no mention of my husband's work to the neighbors.
Yes, I believe your prudence is justified. Tell me, at what prison is your husband engaged?
Barclay Prison, Mr. Sholmes.
Really? Barclay? Oh, a fine establishment. If I'm not mistaken, there's a large cemetery just behind it.
Yes, that's correct. Lowgate Cemetery.
No. Lowgate Cemetery? The very place we were discussing in court? That's unbelievable. Unbelievable, my dear fellow, and yet undeniable.
Sorry, Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid you've lost me.
Ah, pay no heed, madame, pay no heed. A private matter. This can't really be a coincidence, can it? I mean, it absolutely can. Or maybe he got in trouble because we found out that the professor wasn't actually executed. So, to the matter of your husband's disappearance, when did you realize he was missing?
Please try not to laugh. It was yesterday.
I'm sorry? Yesterday? That really is recent. Laughably so.
The truth is, my husband does at times have occasion to spend the night away for his work. It's not all out of the ordinary for him not to return home at night. But this is different. For him not to make any contact for a whole day, that has certainly never happened before. Oh, my dear Daly, whatever can have happened?
It's interesting that they're trying to play this up as like, oh, she's being unreasonable. Oh, that's laughable, but like, no, that's... If someone starts behaving differently and that you can't get in contact with them, that's like, that is reason for concern. My dear Miss Vigil, please, calm yourself. Now then, have you contacted the police?
Why, naturally, but sadly, they refuse to listen to my pleas as my husband has only been missing for 1 day.
Man, it's like police in the real world where they're like, no, someone has to be missing for 24 hours before you can report them as missing.
I was asked to wait patiently at home.
In truth, Miss Vigil, I concur with the police. However, let us not be hasty. I see no reason why we should not engage my deductive powers to track your husband down anyway.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
And furthermore, let me assure you, a chance to solve the greatest problem known to man for another month has no bearing on my decision. I seek only to put a sweet smile on another Londoner's face. That's really all there is to it.
You have my eternal gratitude. I shall pay any sum you care to mention.
You seek only to put this sweet's rent in your landlady's purse. That's all there is to it. I mean, fair. Rent is important. Thank you for everything you have shared with us, Miss Vigil. I believe I have all the information I need to begin my investigation.
Oh, please report to me soon with the good news. With good news, sir.
Fear not, madame. In a day or two, I shall be contacting you with a hunting report, I'm quite sure.
So soon? Oh, how splendid, Mr. Sholmes.
Good news should be delivered early, I always say. If you would be so kind as to leave the photograph of your husband in my possession. And for some reason it goes into the court record instead. Thank you. Now, allow me to show you the door. What was the description of that? He appears to have no particularly distinctive facial features. That is so rude. Bruh. Like, he doesn't seem all that impressive or whatever. It's not... No distinctive facial features. What about that forehead? Okay, now I'm the one being rude.
I can't thank you enough, Mr. Sholmes. You've been simply marvelous. You know, I think it every time, Harley. But how do you come out with such nonsense? Good news in a day or two? Are you sure?
I can't be sure, of course, but then I didn't swear on it. I merely gave the good woman some hope. I hope to be able to give her good news, one might say. After all, the rent must be paid by the end of day tomorrow. If by that time I've successfully located Mr. Vigil, we shall be mutually relieved. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Don't look at me with those pleading eyes. Well, my dear fellow, did you hear the details of the case? Yes, my hearing is surprisingly good, actually. Excellent. And what did you make of it? Well, I was surprised to learn where her husband worked. At Barclay Prison, I mean. Ah, so you noted that.
Of course, especially with the mention of Lowgate Cemetery.
Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison. It was renowned among students at the university for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts. Thanks, Drabble.
Barclay Prison is where that notorious man was incarcerated.
The professor. And now a warder from the prison has mysteriously disappeared, it would seem. It's all very peculiar. Indeed, but nothing you can't handle, I'm quite certain, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Run along to the prison and see what you can glean. Would you? It's the prison governor you want. No doubt the man is equally worried. But aren't you going to go yourself? Surely you needn't ask. I can't possibly be seen out with this hair. But didn't you go to Lime Street with that hair? That was a quite different matter. So I'll leave it in your capable hands. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm rather busy. Rather busy trying to fix his hair, I guess. Of course you are. Well, I guess we have a case of sorts. Not the kind of case we're looking for, but a case. To the prison. Barclay Prison is on the outskirts of London, backing into a lonely burial ground. Ah, my nose has been a bit weird this morning. Its four high outer walls loomed quietly before us in the fog. Having requested a meeting, we were shown to the governor's office in the watchtower. Oh, okay. That's, it's definitely a look for your office. I was going to say something about, like, comparing it to Dr. Seath's office, but then I just remembered, we never got a name for Dr. Seath's daughter, question mark? Presumably she's going to either show up in this case or the next one, because I assume there are 5 cases, because that's just the Ace Attorney standard these days. Anyway, Barclay Prison Governor's Office. That's a big boy. This place is full of hard... Oh! Scottish! Great! Another European country whose people I get to offend by poorly imitating their accent. This place is full of hardened criminals. I cannot remember the last time a civilian was done here. I apologize to all the Scottish people watching. And you didn't want to talk to an inmate, but to me. That man's face is so fucking chiseled. Oh, hey, this is the Caden dude. Do you ken who I am? I'm the governor, Barry Caden. Oh, yes, it's a pleasure. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. And an Easterner, I see. Does that mean? Yes, I'm a visiting student of law from the Empire of Japan. Japan? Did you say Japan? Yes. Well, there's no any of your kind in here, laddie. Maybe you should try the prison next door, eh?
I didn't notice another prison next door, sir.
Anyway, we came to ask you some questions about... I didn't like to be so direct, but... I've no intention of speaking with the likes of you suspicious-looking Easterners. Now get off me hair. He said my, but I said me. Oops. So as soon as he finds out that we're from Japan, he reacts like this. That surely means...
I think it's because of the professor case.
You think so too? 10 years ago. Okay, so I misunderstood what Mikotoba and Jigoku were saying about Caden. Because they said they were good friends with Caden, but that all changed with such and such and such. So I thought he'd been, like, murdered by Genshin, but as it turns out, no. He just hates Easterners now because of what Genshin did. 10 years ago, Genshin Asagi, also known as the Professor, was incarcerated at this prison. And then after his execution, he apparently re-emerged from his grave in the cemetery behind the prison. I might have known. You're sniffing around aboard that case, aren't you? Your agents, eh? Part of the Professor's great web, no doubt. No, not at all. We're just... Get gone with you, before I punch your lights out. We're going. Clearly the ghost of that killer still haunts this place. We're not going to get anywhere here. Unless we can somehow prove to this man that there's nothing suspicious about us.
Governor Caden.
What are you thinking, Miss Sato?
I feel sure that name came up in a conversation recently somewhere. I was wondering if whoever mentioned him might have some ideas to help us.
Come to think of it, I have the same feeling. So that's why they name-dropped him earlier. So I assume, like, we have conversed... okay, so it's not even going to bring up any topics. It's just... I said, get out! Get out! I associate the oot more with, like, Canadian. But I guess that's how they're transcribing the Scottish accent. I don't know how I feel about transcribing accents, to be honest. I've noticed it a bit, watching, like... This is gonna sound stupid, but, like, watching Hololive clips. I've noticed that Bae sometimes gets hit with it because of her Australian accent, and Mokoko absolutely gets absolutely demolished by it. Every single what turns into a what in the subtitles. I don't like deliberately misspelling words in order to represent someone's accent. It just feels rude to me. But maybe that's just because I am Australian and my accent is one of the ones that gets frequently misspelled. Because people think we pronounce no as nar for some reason. Anyway, Mr. Mikotoba is here. Professor Mikotoba, rather. That's Professor Mikotoba over there. That's Dunbad over there. No one's going to get that reference. Ah, hello you two. I was just taking a moment to catch up on the world now that I'm unpacked. But where's Judge Shigoku? Yes, he's not the relaxing sort. He's taken himself off to pay his respects to all the legal bigwigs.
Having only just arrived in the country today? Goodness, he is full of energy. Professor, you mentioned something before about how you'd known the prison governor at Barclay Prison.
Oh? Governor Kaden, you mean?
So it is the same man. Father, we must speak with the governor. But he refused to talk to us. He said we were suspicious Easterners.
Well, I'm sure if I accompanied you, it would be a very different story.
Oh, would you? That would be wonderful if you have time now.
Sadly, as you can see, I'm very busy at the moment, reading this newspaper.
Busy drinking coffee on a comfortable settee.
Now, I have rather a lot to prepare for tomorrow, you know.
Oh, sorry. I didn't say that out loud, did I? You Mikotobas are alarmingly good at reading people's thoughts. Or could it be said that you Naruhodos are alarmingly bad at hiding your thoughts?
Sorry, I bumped the desk with my knee. Let's not fall out now. I have an idea.
What's he writing on that piece of paper?
Here's a letter of introduction for you. Hopefully when he sees my name, he'll change his tune.
Ah, thank you. Letter of introduction.
Good luck then.
Let me have a look. Are we going to be able to see what it actually says? A note of introduction on our behalf from Professor Mikotoba to Governor Kaden. Hopefully now he'll be willing to talk to us. Professor Mikotoba has wonderful handwriting, doesn't he? This dark-suited young man is not the least bit untrustworthy. Is it just me, or does that make me sound extremely untrustworthy? I do wish he'd at least called you a nice young man. I'm really not sure that would help. It's on the back of a... It looks like this is some sort of steamship ticket. The SS Grouse, First Class Cabin 001. Yokohama departure, 11th September, London arrival 1st November. Ah, that's the boat that Professor Mikotoba and Judge Shigoku came on from Japan, isn't it? Yes. I think it called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France for a night before finally arriving in Dover. To think it's been almost a year since we arrived in Dover on the SS Burya. Seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento of your trip, don't you think? Yes, I agree. I have mine safely in my diary. And I keep mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. Oh. Well, how strange. Where could it have gone? Are you like this on purpose, Mr. Naruhodo? Did I imagine it, or was that comment accompanied by a little sigh? Oh. What? What do you mean this is important? Huh? Okay then. I thought we were just going to give it to him and then it'd disappear because it's like not important evidence. But I guess this is actually important. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. If you'd just cast your eyes over this, Governor Kaden.
What's this then? You can't pull the wool over my eyes, you good-for-nothing Japanese student. Mikotoba. That young jock from the forensic laboratory. That Mikotoba.
Yes, exactly, him. Oh dear, perhaps I should have said something sooner. I'm Yujin Mikotoba's daughter, Susato.
Jinx, you're the young man's daughter. That's not the... You're the young man's daughter. And you didn't think to mention that afore?
I do apologize.
Aye, well, you'd best take a seat then. Can offer you a cup of tea, perhaps.
He's got...
He even mentions they're shaped like handcuffs. And didn't forget to try one of these wee handcuff biscuits.
Your father's influence is nothing short of amazing. I'm bitterly regretting not announcing who I was from the outset now.
Well, at least we now have the note that is apparently important. So then, what can I do for you, Hen? Oh, was he referring to her as a hen? Because, like, that's a female chicken? Okay.
Well, we're currently investigating a case.
It's one of your boarders, you see. He's gone missing. Missing?
That's right. It's surely been reported to you as well, being the prison governor.
I haven't heard anything of the sort. There's no missing persons in my prison. My accent is going all over the place. I'm so sorry.
Oh, but how can that be? It's Mr. Daily Vigil, your chief warder.
Vigil?
That's right. His wife came to us and asked us to investigate his disappearance.
Let's skip the part about him only going missing yesterday for now. Clearly that means something to him.
Would you be so kind as to tell us what you know, sir?
Aye, of course. Alright. Chief Warder Vigil. We understand that Mr. Vigil is the chief warder here at the prison? Aye, that he was. Strong sense of responsibility and dedicated to the job, no doubt about it. He was a fine warder.
Sorry, did you say was?
Aye. He doesn't work here anymore. He doesn't work here no more. He left the job.
Oh my. When was this exactly?
There's a question. When was it about? I can't say. It can't have been much less than 10 years ago now.
What? 10 years ago? He stopped working here 10 years ago.
Aye, as I mind it. You ken, I haven't heard the fella's name in all that time. I so worry if he's gone missing though.
But Miss Vigil made no mention of it. I think perhaps, Mr. Naruhodo, that his wife simply doesn't know. I think she's unaware that he no longer works here. Governor Caden, can you tell us what happened? Why did Mr. Vigil give up his job here?
That's important, is it?
Yes, I believe it may be. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? I can't help wondering, given that it was 10 years ago... Ah! Which was exactly when the professor was being held at this prison. Alright, I guess we're doing that next. So Mr. Vigil actually resigned from the position of Chief Warder 10 years ago, you're telling us? What happened to make him leave the job?
In actual fact, he didn't leave the job willingly. He had no choice in the matter.
You mean he was dismissed?
It was after a particular walk.
Sorry, a walk?
Aye, that's our word for it here. A walk to the gallows.
An execution.
It's the job of the chief warder to prepare the gallows tree and oversee any executions, you see. Only, Vigil did something unthinkable on that last walk he was manning.
What did he do?
I'm sorry, but I can't reveal that information. But I can tell you, it's very rare for a chief warder to be relieved of his post.
But why wouldn't Mrs. Vigil know about it? She appears to be under the impression that her husband still works here.
I wouldn't have known anything about that, I'm afraid.
Can you perhaps answer one more question about the circumstances of his dismissal?
And what would that be, Hen?
That last execution that Mr. Vigil was responsible for overseeing. Was it by any chance the Professor's?
My thoughts exactly. I'm sorry, I really am. But I'm at no liberty to answer that.
I see.
Fair enough. It is supposed to be like super confidential and we just blew everything out into the open.
I'm just now realizing I did not upload a YouTube short today. One moment, I need to get my laptop. I was supposed to do it last night, but then I didn't.
Oopsie daisy. I'm a professional. Okay, let me just find a short that I know is decent. And then schedule that for like less than an hour. Less than an hour away. Da-da. Oh yeah, we can do that. We'll do that one. Give me 1 sec so I can upload it, and then we'll get back to your regularly scheduled programming. Come on. Actually, I can read this while doing that.
My father came to Britain all those years ago in order to study forensic medicine. But you seem to have been well acquainted.
The dead room, the prison, and the cemetery have a lot in common with one another. Just let me type the tags in. This is so stupid, I apologize. Almost there. Give me a second. After all, they need fresh corpses for forensic research. Chicken. Okay. And I just need to set the schedule. Yes, I can imagine. I really need to get back into the habit of uploading the week's shorts in advance. Instead of doing them the morning of, because I keep forgetting. Alright. It is done. I will put my laptop back and be right back. If you're wondering why I'm doing it through my laptop, it's because that's where I have all of them saved. I don't have them saved on my computer. On my PC, rather. They're both computers.
The advancement of medical science isn't always particularly palatable.
Your father worked in the laboratory just on the far side of the graveyard. In the basement of St. Sinner's. It's still in use today.
St. Sinner's? That's come up before, I'm sure. Yes, that's right. We've been there.
Mikatoba and I used to ride in a carriage together and negotiate terms.
For more fresh material, I suppose.
Aye. And we used to sit in here for hours and gab on about dissection and dissection and all sorts. Oh, it takes me back. Over a pot of tea and a plate of cough biscuits, of course.
How charming.
He was a good fella, your father. Reliable and dead set on his work. But I'm afraid I'll never understand you Japanese.
Because of Genshin Asogi, I suppose. Asagi. Is it Asagi or Asogi? I think they pronounce it as Asogi. Okay.
Well, I can't tell you anything else.
Thank you so much for your time, Governor.
Oh, one moment before you're away, hen. I'm sure I have it here somewhere. Ah, found it. Here, take this as a wee souvenir of your visit to the prison.
What is it?
Last Vigil's dismissal notice. It's 10 years old now, of course.
Oh my, are you sure?
Aye, it's no trouble at all. It's not the original, mind.
A harsh reprimand incurred by Mr. Vigil 10 years ago that resulted in him losing his job as chief warder of Barclay Prison. Thank you very much, Governor Caden.
Well, in return, do me a favour and never come back here. Our case is closed.
Fair. Well, I think we ought to return to Baker Street for the time being. Yes, I agree. We need to report back to Mr. Sholmes with what we found out about Mr. Vigil. What will he tell Mrs. Vigil, I wonder? Da-da-da. Why do I get the feeling that Mr. Vigil is going to be the victim of this case? November 1st, Sholmes is sweet. We're back. I'm guessing this is Sholmes. Hello, you two. Oh no, that was Iris, okay. Hello, you two. I thought you'd be back before long, so I baked some scones for us all. Ah, so that's what the delicious smell is. Greetings, my dear fellows. Okay. Okay, Tyler Ninja Blevins. You've returned a good deal sooner than I was anticipating. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Hello, Mr. Sholmes? Say nothing. Your thoughts are written all over your faces in any case. It turns out that it may have been advisable to test my hair color restoration tonic before application. Oh my. Pray, tell me, what of our water friend? Have you garnered some new information? Oh, yes, something very surprising, in fact. Though it's not a patch on your hair, to be honest. It most certainly isn't. But still, we discovered that... Sholmes! I'm guessing that's, what's his face? Gregson?
Oh no, it was Gina. Never mind. Drop everything, Sholmes. This is more important. Gina? I can't Adam and Eve it. Believe it, I assume. Sniff, sniff. What's happened? Clearly a very grave matter indeed. For Miss Lestrade made no mention of my hair whatsoever. True. It's the boss. What do you mean? Inspector Gregson? The boss he's dead. What the fuck? This is like if they killed off Gumshoe or something. That's just not something Ace Attorney readily does. Holy shit. I mean, I had a feeling when she showed up that this might be what's happening, which is why my reaction wasn't as extreme as it might be, but like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What? They just found his body, shot with a pistol. What? But Inspector Gregson? He was murdered? Oh no. No, not Gregsy. Come in, my dear girl. Tell us the whole story. Oh no. Are you serious, Gina? Inspector Gregson was really shot? I don't know how I don't know much about what happened myself yet. It's still there investigating the scene. Where did this take place? A little rented room in a building full of flats on Fresno Street. The outskirts of town. Nowhere near his home. He was perhaps investigating a case then. The thing is, no one at the yard knows nothing about no case around there. Oh, how strange. The boss he was so good to me. I know I ain't up to much yet, but one day I was gonna show him I'd be a proper detective. Oh, Ginny. So, who did this? Do you have any idea who the culprit is? They got him already. Already? They've caught the shooter so soon? A witness reported something was going on, and the boys got straight down there and took care of him. Who? What awful person did this? I still can't believe it myself. Gina? It was the Reaper. What? Huh? Huh? Wait a minute, you don't mean they've arrested Lord Van Zeeks for it? That's right. That Reaper bloke's gone and shot the boss. No. Lord Van Zeeks? Am I mistaken in thinking this game has 5 cases? This feels like way too much for the 4th case of the game. What the fuck? What the fuck? Are you quite sure, Mr. Strad? It's Baroque Van Zeeks the police have arrested. I saw him with my own eyes. In the interview room at the yard. I don't believe it. But there were witnesses. And they're all saying it was him. So you mean there were actually multiple witnesses? I heard the gunshot apparently. When our lot got to the scene, it was only the boss and that Reaper bloke in the room. But there's no way Lord Van Zeeks would have taken Gregson's life. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it either. Thank you for informing us, Mr. Lestrade. This really is most terrible news. I'm dreadfully sorry.
What are you saying sorry for? You didn't do nothing. Well, anyway, I'm taking a cab over to the scene right now. Please, come and all. As soon as you can. You gotta help. Jesus Christ. They really killed off Gregson, huh? They killed off Gregson and were probably going to be defending Lord Van Zeeks. I'm guessing that since there's only been one prosecutor so far, probably they're gonna bring in Kazuma as the prosecutor for this case. Huh. This really feels like the kind of thing that should happen on a final case of the game, but we're only in case 4. Maybe this game only has 4 cases. It's a detective's lot to appear whenever some sinister plot is unfolded. Little wonder we all look haggard. Sometimes these things are almost too much for the nerves. Mr. Sholmes. What use is there to being a great detective if I fail to see something like this coming, How could I let this happen to Gregson? To Gregson! Mr. Naruhodo, I shall leave at once to begin my investigations. Of course, yes, we will too. It would be helpful if you could talk to Mr. Reaper and see what you can glean. I'm sure you were intending to do so anyway. Until later then. Blue hair and all. Inspector Gregson dead and Lord Van Zeeks arrested? Bruno, Susie! I've called you a hansom. It's waiting outside. Thanks, Iris. Shall we, Mrs. Sato? Yes. Off we go. To the Old Bailey. Oh, well, we can go here, but we should speak to Lord Van Zeeks first. That's what Sholmes told us to do. Well, now, how the turntables have turned. Except we've never been in the back there. There he is, Lord Van Zeeks behind bars. So it's true. He really was arrested. He's sitting with his back to the wall, reading something. I don't think he's noticed us. Lord Van Zeeks. Fancy meeting you here. The last place on Earth I'd like to be, with the last person on Earth I'd like to see. I couldn't very well not come. We heard what happened, that Inspector Gregson was... Go home. This has nothing to do with you. But... Forgive me, Lord Van Zeeks, but I must disagree. Inspector Gregson was very helpful to us on a number of occasions. We're indebted to him, at the very least. We owe it to him to find out the truth about his death. You must help us with our investigations, please. There's really nothing I can tell you. What were you just reading at the back of the cell there? Was that something related to the case? This... The Yard isn't quite so cavalier with its information as to share case details with a suspect. This is a letter from an old acquaintance. Oh, who might that be? Someone you know, as it happens. Albert Harebrain. Of course, yes. I keep forgetting they went to the same university. And I would like to read my correspondence in peace, so let's get this over with, shall we? What is it you want to know? Strange.
I mean, let's face it, Lord Van Zeeks never minces his words. But they seem to have less bite than usual somehow. Alright, let's get to the bottom of this. Can you at least tell us your side of the story, Lord Van Zeeks? What happened? How much do you already know?
We know that the inspector was shot dead in a small rented room on Fresno Street.
And you were found there by the police when they arrived on the scene and immediately arrested.
We were told that there was nobody else in the room, and that some witnesses heard the gunshot.
Then you're well informed. And there's really nothing I can add. The truth is, I don't know what happened myself.
But the gunshot? Obviously you didn't fire the gun, did you?
I'm not in the habit of shooting the people I work alongside. I also heard the noise. However, before I had a chance to investigate, I was apprehended by the arriving officers. So he doesn't actually know what happened.
If I might ask, what were you doing in that place to begin with?
I don't need to answer that.
Oh.
After all, you're not representing me.
He is going to need a lawyer, though.
He's not going to accept. Who's going to be representing you in court, Lord Van Zeeks? Anyone other than you, I should imagine.
Would I be right in assuming that you have no representation as yet?
Defense lawyers shy away from any trials involving the Reaper, as I'm sure you know.
But this is different.
In my career, of all the defendants I have prosecuted, only 19 have ever been acquitted. Of them, 16 subsequently died in mysterious circumstances. Questions will be asked now.
Surely not.
I assure you no defense lawyer will want to touch me with the end of a barge pole.
But you didn't actually have anything to do with those people's deaths, did you?
It's been 10 years now that I've been known as the Reaper of the Bailey. Believe me, nobody wants to know the true identity of this killer more than I. However, it seems things may have come to a head before I had a chance to uncover the truth about that.
What does he mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
After the trial, Professor Hairbrain was supposed to go straight back to Germany, I thought.
It's a letter to inform me of his safe arrival at home. I arranged his passage by sea and rail. It's a relief, I must say. He should now be beyond the reaches of the Reaper.
Because the Reaper doesn't follow people abroad, you mean?
Yes, so it seems. Which means that Gina is...
Oh no. I was about to say that means Gina's still in danger because she was acquitted and she's still in Britain. Did Gregson die trying to save Gina? Did he find the Reaper and confronted him and tried to stop him so that he wouldn't end up killing Gina? Oh no. Oh no, this case is about to get very sad. I say about as if it isn't already very sad. Oh no. Oh no.
Your stooped little Nipponese friend, for example. You told me he was keeping well in Japan when I inquired the other day.
Yes, that's right. He's an author now, happily working in Tokyo. So Professor Hairbrain is safely back in Germany now?
He is.
Oh no, I hope Gina doesn't die as well, but she is very much in the line of fire.
So, it appears our conversation has run dry. There was a 2 seconds... There was a 2-second silence, that's all. Well, in any event, if you'll excuse me now, I wouldn't like to detain you. I was wondering, Lord Van Zeeks, if you'd like, I'd be happy to advocate for you. You trust me, do you? Yes. I've heard you speak many times in court. I've seen how you treat people. So I'm quite sure that you would never have taken another's life. It's just, my feelings can't be used as evidence in a court of law, sadly. It's a very gracious offer, however. I trust no one. What? Not the police, not the judiciary, and not you Nipponese. But please, I have no intention of engaging your services. The chasm between us is just too wide and too deep, it seems. We're somehow going to end up defending him anyway, I can tell. I'd appreciate it if you don't visit again. Then neither of us will waste any more time. Perhaps we need to dig a little deeper and find out more about Lord Van Zeeks and what happened to Inspector Gregson. In that case, off to the crime scene, I suppose. Is his body still here, or has it already been carted off? Is that a portrait of Evie? Well now, that's interesting. There's a fucking red wig. Of course. Of course the Redhead Society is involved. They wouldn't have brought it up if it wasn't. This really is an out-of-the-way part of London. I doubt many people find their way down this back street. So this rust-ridden, rented old room is where it happened then. Who's going to be the lead in the lead detective on this case then? If Gregson's dead, he's been the lead detective on everything. And Miss Seath has been arrested as well. Is Miss Seath's daughter going to be the one in charge? Maybe. So this is where poor Inspector Gregson lost his life. Yes, and the police are already hard at work investigating, it seems. I don't see Mr. Sholmes anywhere, though. Perhaps his investigations have taken him elsewhere? Oi, what do you think you're doing here? Doing there? Every one of them drawers has got to be taken taken right out so we can look underneath them, so we can look underneath it all. Of course, Gina's going to be leading the investigation. Probably. I mean, I feel like that's a conflict of interest, but the Ace Attorney series has never really cared about that. Except for when it's convenient. I want the place above this ceiling checked, and I don't forget to look inside the chimney stack too. Blimey, ain't you lot ever gone over an house without looking for dough when the owners are out of town? Gina's obviously got some unique investigative techniques she wants everyone to adopt. Oh, so you've turned up at last. Mind you, I ain't been here long myself. Hello again, Gina. Sholmes has only just left. You're lucky you missed that. He went prancing around here, pouting, pointing at stuff and flicking that out of his ears, and then he just scarpered. Oh, he's finished investigating already, you mean? Yeah, he didn't stop to say nothing to me. Nothing to no one, not even me. Gina, would you mind if we investigated too? Listen, Odo. You're a lawyer, right? Yes? Why? Well, you're not thinking of
Trying to help that Reaper bloke, are you? Oh, poor Gina. She's never going to forget, is she? That trial will haunt her forever. Gina, if you don't mind me saying, if Lord Van Zieks really is responsible for this crime, he will be duly and fairly judged in court. I suppose you're right, yeah. Go on then, Odo, get investigating. I want to know the truth about what really happened here. Thank you, Gina. We'll start by having a chat. Gina, what was Inspector Gregson doing here in the first place? That's what I want to know. It's what, half a year since I got out of the clink? That's when I decided to give up me diving and become a detective instead. Oh yes, Mr. Sholmes twisted the inspector's arm to agree to take you on as an apprentice, did he? Didn't he? Something like that, I think. Anyway, the point is, I didn't really know much about the boss until then. But turns out, he's a bit of a legend at the yard. Goodness, really? They say he managed to solve some really tricky case just like that. He did? Yep, and ever since then, he started going out on all sorts of investigations, but always on his own. Sus. Also, that tricky case that he managed to solve wouldn't happen to be the professor case, would it? No one else at the yard even knows what half the cases he's working on are, apparently. That's not how it's supposed to work, is it? So what was the legendary inspector doing in a dingy little room like this? I know he had a lot of respect for the Reaper and all. And look where that landed him. Respect for the Reaper? In what way? I heard him say as much. I take my hat off to that fella, were his words. Not how the general public feels, is it? Most people are terrified of the Reaper. Yeah, the boss said that's exactly why he respected the bloke. Didn't realize Gregson held the Reaper in quite such high regard. He said something else to me and all. That I didn't need to worry about the Reaper. Because he only goes after people what are bad. It did kind of set my mind at ease when he said that. Right. What is this place then? Does anyone live here? Apparently it's being rented by some cove called Hugh Boone. Hugh Boone. Can't tell what the pun is off the top of my head. Hugh Boone. It's a sort of here today, gone tomorrow name, isn't it? Maybe it doesn't have a pun then. Yeah, he's what we call an unidentified person. You haven't been able to get in touch with him. I see. Well, judging from appearances, I have to say this place hasn't been lived in for a long time, if ever. Right? All the lads from the yard piled down to get stuck into an investigation. But there's so little here. None of them knew what to do with themselves. I do wonder. Yes, Mr. Sato? Well, it could be that this Hugh Boone is in fact Inspector Gregson himself. What? How could that be? Well, if he was investigating on his own, it's quite possible that this was in fact some kind of secret office of his. I'd never considered that. Nice work, Suze. We're actually following a line of inquiry like that ourselves. You are? If you look around the room, you'll see there's a few things that hint at it. We should really investigate this place in detail. But first, the incident. I see that's where the poor inspector was found, over there. Yeah, that's right. I say it was a single bullet what did him in. Apparently the bullet went right through him, struck that candle tree on the wall. Oh yes, it's blown one of the candles completely apart. And the gun used is there on the floor. It's the Reaper's, isn't it? No denying that. What? Really? How do you know that? Take it easy. I don't know what to do with myself when you stare at me with them big wide eyes. I'm only saying what I've heard. I don't know much about guns myself. But there's some bigwig lawyer man or whatever who said so. Why don't you ask him? A bigwig lawman, is it? Anyway, Fresno Street runs along under that window there. There were some street sellers just outside who heard the gunshot. Oh, but I don't recall seeing anybody outside. Yeah, they've all been taken down to the yard for questioning, that's why. We're talking about the yard's legendary inspector here, after all. They'll be getting the grilling. Do you think we might be able to speak with those street sellers ourselves? I doubt it. The lads at the yard will just want to know what you're snooping around for, and you'll be up for a grilling and all. So we can't interview the witnesses then. Shame. Alright, let's examine. I would like to start with this. Oh, it's a photograph stand. I suppose it must be a picture of one of Inspector Gregson's family members? Ah! What's the matter? Your eyes look like they're about to pop out of your head. They are, look! Mr. Naruhodo, quickly! It is her! Why do I feel like this woman is familiar somehow? Of course she's familiar, we only met her this morning! Ah! It's Mrs. Vigil. This makes no sense. Why would there be a picture of Miss Vigil in here? To be frank, I don't think I've ever been more stumped. I'm sorry to say, I have no idea either. Framed photograph has been entered into the court record. What is this? It looks like some sort of notice board or something. And it's absolutely covered in scraps of paper. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, look. This you mean? It's an autopsy report, isn't it? And these are case notes here. And details of prison inmates. Yes, in fact, they're all the sort of documents that only a detective could normally acquire. What on earth went on in this room? Some old newspaper cuttings? Ah, and this one here. Oh yes, the advertisement you mean. To the Red-Headed League. But why? What's that doing here? Whoever occupied this room was clearly interested in it for some reason. An empty fireplace makes a room feel even colder than it would be otherwise, doesn't it? It's thick with dust, look. I think it would be fair to say that it hasn't been used in a very long time. In other words, whoever lived in this room must have been extremely hardy in cold weather. Or nobody lived here at all and merely visited when the occasion arose. I wouldn't like to say which is more likely. No, that's right. It's one or the other. Excuse me. Oh, Inspector! Oh, sir. Poor man, he can't possibly be able to focus on investigating when he's so upset. Oh, he was saying... I misinterpreted the tone there. Excuse me. Sorry, sir. Can't see a thing, sir. Too many tears, sir. Oh no. Right, perhaps I'd better leave you to your work then. Check with this guy as well then. Excuse me. If you're looking down on us from the great beyond, Inspector, don't worry. We'll look after things at the yard. I've interrupted some deep thoughts here. What's this? Oh, what's this? It would appear to be a little model policeman. It's rather charming, isn't it? In a way.
Seeing as it's on the floor here, do you think it belonged to Inspector Gregson?
It's a little hard to imagine Lord Van Zeeks playing with something like this.
It's only about 8 centimeters tall. Could have fallen out of someone's pocket, I suppose. I think we should record it as evidence, just in case.
Yes, I agree. It is rather delightful, after all, in a way.
Policeman figurine. This is presumably the murder weapon, then.
Oh my. It is real, I suppose?
I think so. Guns are rare in Japan, so I really know very little about them.
There's one way to know for sure, Mr. Naruhodo. Fire a shot.
No, no, no. If I did that, I'd be looking for a skilled lawyer to represent me in court. Slightly safer to ask someone who might know, I think. Let's have a look at this. The top of one of the candles in this candle holder has been completely blown off.
Yes, there's wax splattered on the wall behind, look.
Is there? I can't see it. I suppose if a bullet had hit it.
It does seem likely that the bullet hit the candle, having first passed through the inspector's body.
Ugh. Now that wax on the wall looks like blood to me. Probably gonna need to investigate that closer. Sorry for pausing so much, for muting so much rather. My nose is going berserk right now. Ever since we came in here, I can't take my eyes off this thing.
Oh, funnily enough, neither can I.
It's a hairpiece, isn't it?
It is. It is. A bright red hairpiece.
And I suppose the fact that it's right there next to where the body was found means we have to accept that Inspector Gregson wore wigs, does it?
And in such a flame-coloured red, too.
Yes, that's a colour we've come across very recently somewhere, isn't it?
Exactly. This is a vital clue, I'm sure of it.
I suppose this is where the victim...
That's right, the rope is laid around the body to show exactly how it was found. Poor Inspector Gregson himself has already been taken away.
And would probably be under Dr. Seath's scalpel by now, if not for what happened last week.
From the shape of the rope, it would appear that the inspector was curled up in a ball. Are you feeling alright, Mr. Naruhodo? You look like you've just seen a ghost.
I know it's just rope, but, well, it conjures up quite a terrifying image, that's all.
Especially with that blood stain next to it. Oh, I do understand. In some ways, what we picture in our minds can be even worse than reality.
Susato-san is so strong, though. She's taking this far better than I am. Is that everything? Oh, there's also this. But, since I'm going to be ending soon, I may as well have a look at everything to see if there's any other additional information to glean like I did with this. Chief Warden Daily Vigil is relieved of his post with immediate effect for having violated Clause 132 of Her Majesty's Code of Conduct for Prisons. All rights to redundancy pay and other financial benefits are fully revoked. Reason for dismissal? Aiding and abetting the escape from this prison of convict blank just prior to his execution. Details of this escape are still being investigated. Full cooperation with inquiries will be expected. Prison Governor Barry Caden. Oh, Barry Caden, like barricade. Additional notes?
Indications of the jailbreak plot was conceived prior to the convict's incarceration. It is believed that the convict engaged in some form of negotiation with prison staff in order to secure assistance. Full disclosure of information regarding these negotiations will be demanded. I thought it was made of wood, but it looks more like clay, close up. The helmet of this charming policeman appears to be a little worse for wear. I'm not convinced about the charming part, but yes, you're right. The head part looks like it's been fairly heavily manhandled. Almost as if someone has enjoyed twisting it around and around for fun. Shall we try twisting it around and around too? For fun. That! What's that? It appears to be some sort of key. But it's tiny though. It could be a key for a door, not at that size. So what is it for, I wonder? Giving it a twist causes a key-like shaft to pop out up from the base. Just check that there's nothing else on the body. And then there's this, which, yes, we can look at. This looks like some sort of key. Yes, it does. A very tiny and simple key. What's a little key doing inside a figurine of a policeman in the first place? And what's it for? Right, now what about the revolver? I suppose this must have been the murder weapon. Oh my, it's real, I suppose? I think so. Oh, but this is just the same fucking conversation. I'm not reading it again. Oh, perhaps someone more familiar with firearms could shed light on things here. Okay, that's all we get from that. Ah, there are some black marks here, look. Yes, they look like some sort of scorch marks. So perhaps the bullet struck the candle here, do you think? It's only this one candle that's been cracked in half, it seems. Yes, I think you might be right. Firearms are rarely used by criminals in Japan, so I'm afraid I'm not particularly knowledgeable about them. Can't look at the other candles, can't look at anything else. I've always wondered what the underside of a hairpiece looks like. That doesn't surprise me at all, Mr. Naruhodo. You always want to see what lies beneath, don't you? I'm not sure that's quite how I'd put it. You must have to use lots of birdline to keep it in place on your head, so it doesn't get blown off by a gust of wind, I mean. That might be a little inconvenient when you wanted to take it off again, don't you think? Oh, okay. We did get some new information. Somebody's very haphazardly nailed these boards over the broken glass, haven't they? You couldn't even really call it a window anymore. Well, if you remember the window in Mr. Natsume's room, that was totally blocked up with bricks. This one does at least still let in some light. Some light, you could say. You could say nothing more about it. I am starting to feel even more sorry for Mr. Natsume now. Is that everything? Oh, we could present the stuff to Gina, I guess. I want to finish up with this room before I close for the day. I do still need to draw a comic strip today, though I don't know what it's going to be about. I'll have to think of something. Hey, what do you think about this? Gina, what do you make of this? What is that? Evidence? Work something out about what happened, have ya? Oh, no, not exactly. I ain't been long enough in the job to get all this deducting business yet. But I swear I'm gonna get the person what did this to the boss.
Okay, another one that... We may already be done here. Okay, so I guess we need to show this stuff to someone else then. There's a lot of areas in this case where, like, you're like, are we done at this area or do we go somewhere else now? Which, I mean, is standard Ace Attorney fare. I guess I'm just not used to it recently. Because in this game, at least up to this point, there's been a lot of like, well, I guess we're done here. Let's go look at something else. But here they just expect you to be like, yep, there's nothing left to do. Let's go elsewhere. Alright, let me just check move. I'm not going to actually move anywhere. Should we visit somewhere else? Okay, so we need... Oh, right. Because she said the big lawman. But we will go see the big lawman next time. You know what, let's save over one of our old safety saves. Save twice, just to make sure. A bit of a shorter stream because I started later, but this is where we are going to be ending for the day. Because I have things to do. Stretch. Anyway, I am very curious about this case. It's like... There is so much happening. I am almost inclined to believe that this is the last case of the game, because what the fuck do you mean the main detective of the game of this series is dead and the main prosecutor is in prison? Like, that's last case material. Does this game only have 4 cases? It's possible. It's possible. The first 2 games only had 4 cases. Apollo Justice only had 4 cases. Maybe this is the last case of the game. Who fucking knows? I don't. Anyway, my next stream will be tomorrow. Hopefully on time, if I manage to drag myself out of bed early enough. I don't know what we'll be doing. I've been thinking about doing some more drawing. Just because, like, I have a lot of, like, characters and stuff that I need to design. Both for my, my RPG and for my TCG. But, who knows? I don't know. I don't know if my drawing streams are particularly entertaining, just because I spend most of my time umming and ahhing over, like, whether what to do, you know. Anyway, let's have a look, see who's online. I'm pretty sure Miko would still be streaming. We could just always raid Miko again. We always do that, but... Oh no, Miko has ended! Okay, in that case... Wow, that's a surprise. Miko ending stream at a normal-ass time? I'm talking smack and she's not even here to defend herself. Anyway. We're going to be raiding PK Ninja instead. PK is currently playing Kirby's Epic Yarn. Very cute game. It's one of the few Kirby games that I've played and completed. I like it. Sorry. Anyway, here are the raid messages. Even though there's no one here. I still gotta do it. It's out of principle, you know? I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Next time I'll figure out what we're doing tomorrow, and then we'll stream again tomorrow. I've still gotta put together the heckin' quiz thing. I'll try to do that sometime this weekend, hopefully. If I have time. I never have time for anything, but if I have time, I'll do that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Otsukame. Bye bye. Sometime next month. I'll get it sometime next month. End scene.